What's going on, guys? Dr. Matt here, host of the Roadie Strength Podcast. We got another special guest on today, Adriana Ferns. What's going on?
How's it going?
Doing good. So she's a personal trainer over at Bristol Total Fitness. She is MOVNAT L2 certified just recently. Was it last week? 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, yeah.
2 weeks ago. Yoga certified, 200 hours, TRX certified. A author of Fitness to Freedom, Finding Health and Self While Incarcerated, which you can get on Amazon and I think from your website too, right?
No, but I do have it at Inkfish Bookstore in
Perfect.
Warren, Rhode Island.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep.
So you can pick it up locally there.
Shout out to Lisa.
Nice. And then a co-owner, business partner for Soul Friend Yoga.
Yep.
Which they put out some awesome yoga mats and clothing. I know my wife Liz loves your mat. She loves the yoga pants and everything. So that's really cool. And we'll dive into that as well. So I like to start these off with rapid fire questions. So these are mostly for me because I find that they're fun and they're interesting. But first question I got is your favorite coffee shop in the area.
That would have to be Coffee Depot in Warren, Rhode Island.
Okay.
Yep.
Haven't been there.
I'm biased to my town, you know.
I like it.
It's a dope place. Like there's outdoor seating, but indoor there's like a little fake fireplace.
Nice.
Coffee's awesome.
Hey, you got to have the hometown pride.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Next one we got favorite go-to breakfast, and it could be the same spot, or it could be maybe something that you are just dialed in, like every day you wake up, make the same thing, or what you like to make.
So I eat the same breakfast every day. No one can understand how, but it's 3 eggs, sweet potato, broccoli, peppers, onions, garlic, squash, zucchini, and avocado.
Nice.
Yeah, every day.
That's
Well, I'd
pretty
say
solid.
5 or 6 days a week.
Is that do you prep that ahead of time, or do you make it from scratch every day?
I chop the vegetables ahead
Yeah.
of time, so for the week the veggies are chopped, and then usually, luckily, my wife will cook it the night before,
Sure.
and then so it's semi-fresh in the morning, and then I just
Nice.
reheat it. I don't use a microwave either. I use like one of those little kettles. I put the Pyrex dish in it, and it just cooks while I'm working.
Oh, smart.
Yeah.
That makes it easy.
So,
That's good to go.
I never
Cool.
get bored. Everyone's like, "How'd you get bored?" I'm like, "No, I'm hungry. I'm not thinking about the same thing."
Honestly, that's pretty common answer from these questions is like, especially with the breakfast, and I think it probably has something to do with like people's routines.
That's it.
It's just like they find what they like and they just roll with it.
Yeah,
And then,
it's
like,
easy.
It's just easy. You can do the same. Oh, I like it. All right, I'm gonna eat it every day.
Yeah.
That's good. Next question we got is, I know you are big into yoga. What's the most recent drop-in that you've done, yoga studio?
So this one was in Curacao.
Cool.
It's
All right.
Sam Sapara Yoga Studio.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was at this woman's house on like her deck overlooking the water.
That's
It was
super
pretty cool. Yeah. And for Rhode Island, my recent one right before that was the Love Offensive. And we've talked about them.
Nice.
Yeah.
I got to get back over there.
The hottest class. I love it.
Yeah. And they have their ice bath outside,
Yeah, they have
too.
a plunge pool. Yep.
That's really cool. All right, favorite recent book is the next question. This could be podcast, audiobook, anything.
This is a book I just read. She's a local author, Vanessa Lilly.
Okay.
It's called Blood Sisters. It's awesome. I just
Awesome.
finished it. I didn't want to finish it. It was so good. I was like, wait, I want to save the rest. You know, like it was hard
That's
to
cool.
finish because I heard her next book isn't coming out till 2025.
Oh,
So I was like
you got a long
devastated.
wait.
Yeah, because it's really good. She wrote a few other books that are totally different from this one.
Hmm.
So this book is, if anyone's listening and they're looking for a new book, it's awesome.
And she's local.
She's a local out of Providence. Actually, I think she lives in Narragansett, but she writes
That's
about
super
Providence.
cool.
Yeah, she's awesome.
That's really cool. Next question, similar. Favorite recent podcast.
One of my favorite ones that I seem to listen to a lot is it's the Better Podcast by Dr. Stephanie Estima.
Cool.
She does a lot of women's hormonal stuff, and I'm
Cool.
45 now, so it's really
Yeah.
kind of jiving with it, trying to follow along. And
Yeah.
she's the same age as me too, which is good because I feel like who else to listen to but someone who's a little more like on your level at that point. You know,
Yeah.
it's like in life the changes that are happening. So
That's a field that I think. I mean, I'm sure it's been around for a while, but is obviously it's super important. But I think that it's more talked about, or maybe more known, or like better treated than it used to be.
Yeah.
And it's so beneficial.
yeah, women's health. I mean, it's just even knowing like what to eat, what part of the
Yeah.
month. how to train certain weeks. Like I didn't know my ligaments were more lax like the week after. I'm like, well, this is good to know. I play soccer. I don't want to like tear a ligament or like overtrain that week, you know?
Right.
So it was really, yeah. And I mean, as a woman of 45, it was also like frustrating. I'm like, how the fuck do we not know? Okay, am I
You
okay
can,
to swear?
yeah, you're
Okay.
good, you're good. You're cleared.
Yeah, I was like, why isn't this like, why didn't anyone tell me when I was in my 20s? Like,
Yeah.
luckily, knock on wood, that's something that hasn't happened is the ligament tear anywhere. So,
Right.
other than like ankle stuff, but like any major ligaments playing soccer for all these years, like, just would have been, it would have been nice to know young.
And it is like the data's there. It's super common for ACL tears, in particular like soccer is
Yeah.
one, lacrosse, basketball, but for females particularly.
That week.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, okay, and now that you have that knowledge, you can kind of make the
Train.
changes, train around it.
Yeah.
You know, like just knowledge is power, I guess,
Right.
to the point.
And
so you can
even
work
just
with it.
knowing like you're like a certain week, you're like way stronger. So it's like,
Yeah.
I love deadlifting like the week right after my period.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, like all the hormones are up.
You got
Like
the power.
I'm loving it, you know? It's just, it would have been nicer to know younger, but at least I know
Sure.
now, you know?
Yeah. No, that's super cool.
You can educate other people,
Yes, totally.
you know?
Next question we got here: favorite Instagram accounts. And I described this question basically like it could be like within the health and fitness field, or it could be just like something that you find like entertaining or something that you just think is cool.
So I don't love social media, to be
Sure.
honest with you. I go on our Soul Friend one. I don't. I
Yeah.
have my own. I got rid of my original one, and then I have like a new one that I never go on.
Yeah.
I use ours for work, so I do
Yeah.
have to post stuff sometimes. So when I do go on and am looking, it's always MOVNAT.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Or some of the other MOVNAT instructors.
Sure.
Like I'll
sure.
click that. I'll click on them because they're just doing some badass stuff, and it's like
Yeah.
even though I'm like I hate social media, I'm like I want to see what they're doing.
Yeah. Especially with that style of training, I
Yeah.
think that converts really well to Instagram because it's just cool looking.
And it's around the world. So I always
Yeah.
love watching like what countries. I'm like, oh my God, these guys are doing this. Like
True.
look at this guy, look at this girl, like look at these people, you know? It's
Yeah.
just cool that like it's such a united
Totally.
fitness modality, you know, like around the world like that.
Yeah, and we'll definitely dive more into that. But yeah, even when we were just talking today, I didn't realize it was so widespread.
Yeah,
Which is really cool.
it's awesome.
Next one, we got favorite shoe or sneaker. Like, what do you like wearing in the gym?
So you'll laugh when I wear to train indoors are like Amazon water shoes.
Cool.
Like the cheapest, like
like literally shoes like for going
Wa-
to the beach in the water.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I work out in. Barefoot in certain
Sure.
places,
Sure.
but you know, unfortunately, like with the environment, with people like I taught a class outside. I'll give you an example. And this girl, we were nowhere near the water. It's on the like we're at Colt State Park, but we were way up in the grass, and she had
Yeah.
a fish hook in her foot. So like. It's just people are scummy sometimes. and
Yeah.
I like to train barefoot outside when I can.
Right.
I do train barefoot in the gym if I'm doing balance or certain things, but the water shoes, like the cheapy,
Yeah.
that's what I lift in.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because they used to, I don't even know if the company's still around anymore, but they used to make those toe finger type
The
shoes.
Vibrams, yeah.
Do they even, is that company still around?
I think they are. There's another company I just heard of that does like a sneaker. I think it's Paluva. Don't quote me. I have these on though today, these are my new trail shoes, the Vivo Barefoot.
Oh, sweet.
I love
Yep.
these. I just
I've heard
wore
good
them.
things about the Vivos.
Love them. I wore them in on some hikes in Curacao, and you can feel everything.
So the trail shoe, is it just have more like rubber or like, does it have more,
I think it's like this in the front.
just the material?
Yeah,
a
but they
little more
move.
protection?
They move really well.
Cool. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so those are my favorite. Like if I'm outside in the woods.
That's really
But
cool.
yeah, I just wear like the cheapy $20 water shoes to work out in.
I mean, that makes sense. It's probably your closest thing to barefoot.
It really is.
It's like basically like a sock.
Yeah, it's
on your
kind of a
foot.
little bit of rubber. That's it.
And then let's get into. Well, this will be a nice transition. What are you doing right now for your fitness and your workouts? And you kind of alluded to this a little bit already.
Definitely MOVNAT.
Yep.
Usually about 3 days a week. They send workouts,
Mhm.
and I like to follow along. Sometimes I'll tweak them a little, depending. I mean, as you know, like I'm constantly have little tweaks going on,
Sure,
so
yeah.
I have to tweak my workouts.
Yep.
Usually 3 days a week. I like to do like a leg day 1 day a week.
Nice.
The upper body, actually, the tempo stuff you had me doing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still like to keep up on that.
Nice.
I get out in the woods a few days a week. I haven't really been running as much, just because I'm working through some stuff. I had sprained an ankle, couple little things, but I try to get out in the woods with my dog a couple days a week.
Nice.
Yoga usually once a week, and I do intervals usually twice a week,
Cool.
just to keep my heart rate up, my sprints.
Sweet. Awesome. You have a pretty well-rounded schedule
Yeah,
there. That's good.
I pretty much work out 7 days a week. I
Yeah.
don't count hiking with the dog. I mean,
Yeah.
we go for like 4 or 5 miles.
Yeah, that's solid.
You know,
For some people, that would be a pretty intense workout.
yeah.
But I
it's-
mean, yeah, with everything else you're doing, use it like as an active recovery
It's
type
pretty much,
day.
yeah. Just getting out
that's
in the
cool.
woods. I don't, people disagree with me. I'm by myself. I don't take my phone. I just try to like disconnect,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
and not be involved in anything but me and the dog.
totally. I like that.
Yeah,
And you, and I know you're not playing right now, but you play a lot of soccer,
Yeah, I
like
love
during
it.
the season.
yeah.
Are you planning to play again for
In the spring, yeah.
Nice.
The spring's my favorite. Well,
Awesome.
actually, I like the summer, but we didn't have a whole. We just did a tournament because too many people were like, "It's too hot."
Really?
Yeah, I love it. I love the heat, though.
Yeah,
I thrive in it.
that's cool.
Yeah.
And then you also, I know you said you haven't done any recently, but you've done a lot of the obstacle racing in the past. too.
Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've been taking teams more. I really got into MOVNAT a lot more.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a lot of similar movements.
Sure.
It's just at like more of like, I'm not racing at any point. I'm very competitive and I'll
Yeah.
do things, as you know, like if I'm injured and I've signed up for something, I'm still going to do it.
Just
And
gonna push through.
yeah, yeah. And I don't, I'm getting a little smarter, I think, with age. I like to sometimes.
Yep.
So I've just had some weird stuff going on during ones I've wanted to sign up for, like wanted to compete,
Yeah.
and just decided if I take teams, I can't push myself because I have to keep an eye on the team.
Right.
So it's been more fun for me to take a team and see people who've never done one
Right.
succeed. That's just as enjoyable to me as me competing.
Oh, totally.
You know?
Almost from like, I don't know if this is a good example, but like switching from like that athlete to like a coaching
Yeah.
role.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of people who have said that. Like one of the guys who I did podcast recently up in Providence, who does like a lot of Olympic barbell, like Olympic lifting, it's like competition and stuff. He was really, really high level, but has for a couple reasons, time, business, but and then like a series of like injuries, like he's kind of taking a step back from that. But it just gets just as much joy as like seeing his
Yeah.
competitors, his athletes do really well.
yeah,
you know?
it's true.
So no, that's cool. All right, so I want to get a little bit into your backstory.
Sure.
So we went, I guess to give a brief intro on this, and this will kind of I think allude like into the book you just wrote. But we went to your book opening party at what
La
was the name of the
Piñata.
restaurant? La Piñata,
Yeah.
which was awesome, which is super cool. But yeah, so you had written a book, which is awesome, and I have a copy of it, and I flipped through. I didn't read it cover to cover yet, but I got through a lot of it. But yeah, so I wanted to get into the backstory of basically how you got into fitness, and then kind of going from there, like how did you get into personal training, and then into writing a book after that. So there's a lot there, but we could take it piece by piece,
Yeah.
and you can. And I know you were on a podcast just recently, so you don't have to repeat yourself, but you can, as much as you want to talk about one thing or the other, we'll go in that direction.
I'll get into it.
Cool.
So I started playing soccer. I moved from Providence to Coventry when I was like 10. I played like baseball when I was in Providence, but I started playing soccer when I was 10. I really liked it. I had severe ADHD when I was younger. It was a lot worse. So soccer was like my jam because you're just chasing a ball, especially at that age. So I really did well with that. I took some karate. I was always active, and then I ended up getting into a lot of trouble. I decided like drugs were fun, and I was gonna do drugs, and
Drugs
not
are
the best,
fun.
not the best idea, So I ended up really having like a cocaine problem because the ADHD was a stimulant.
Sure.
So that kind of got me in a lot of trouble. I ended up getting incarcerated for something totally different, but smuggling drugs.
Sure.
And I was just not in a good place. Like I was really I spiraled down to like the bottom, and I gained weight in there, and I'd never been heavy because I was
Yeah.
just so hyper. So I was like, I'm fat now. Like, what is going on? Like, I got to do something about. Like, I kind of snapped into it. Like, I gained like 30 pounds, and I just started trying to exercise, and it was really hard in the facility I was at. And I don't think I mentioned this in my book, which I don't know why, but I got I was in laundry. I had a job, and you had a TV, and I never watched TV with everyone because they just fought over the time. So I just read. Yeah, it's awful. So I'm in this little room with the laundry machines, washing clothes, and I could watch TV, and I saw I don't know if you remember, it was on MTV or like A&E or one of those channels. It was like this lady Jackie. She was a trainer. She had like, it was like a reality gym show.
No, I don't remember.
So it was like back in like, I'm going to say like maybe 2005. It was on one of those like MTV or A&E or something. And her name is Jackie. She had like a reality gym. And I remember being like, I could be a trainer. Like, this looks cool, you know? So that was where it actually started from, thinking about being a trainer. And then
Jackie Warner?
yeah, yep. And then I started working out a lot in the prison, like first in the county and then in the prison. And like people would ask me for help. And then at one point in federal, the guy was like, hey, can you just like teach a class? You're taking up too much space with all the people you're working out with. Yeah, so it just kind of went on like that. I started teaching a class. I got in really good shape. And I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I put food recipes and things to eat in the book, and I'm looking at it now. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I ate that. But you don't have any real good food either in a lot of these places.
Right.
And I really didn't know what I was doing either. I was getting magazines and I was like figuring it all out on my own.
Yeah.
So I basically like made up my own workouts, made up my own plans, just did it, and it worked. So then I was like, all right, I'm good at this.
Right.
And people were asking me for advice. They're like, man, like you lost a lot of weight, or you're doing really good, like. What's your secret? I'm like, just not eating shit and I'm moving, basically. Like,
right.
No big secret.
To boil it down to as simple as that.
Still the same.
Yeah.
Don't eat shit and exercise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It really isn't rocket science.
Yeah.
Clearly,
yeah.
I had no resources, really. Like,
sure.
So, like, if I could do it in a place like that, that's one of the reasons I don't have a lot of sympathy when people are like, I'm not motivated. I'm like, try doing it in, like, a room the size of a bathroom with no equipment.
Sure.
By yourself. With
yeah,
a Walkman.
you had, there was nothing.
Nothing.
And you had no resources, but at the same time, you could flip it and say you were resourceful,
right?
Because you sought the stuff out, you sought the magazines,
and like
everything.
When you get to federal too, there is a gym, there's like actual weights, but like before that, it was really
just nothing,
you know. And there was a lot of like, you know, you get moved into places, and then there was a lot of movement into different facilities too. So
sure,
yeah, I fell in love with it, and when I got out, I started like the Penn Foster Career School. They do like a personal training, like basically like a start, and then they send you to National Council in Strength and Fitness, and that's where I got my certification through.
Sweet.
And I just thrived it. And I think because someone with like ADHD too, it's like there's so many different things.
Yeah.
There's so many personalities. There's so many things. It's like it's always stimulating.
Yes.
Like you come in, you're totally different from the 80-year-old I just had.
Right.
Who's balancing better. You're ready to throw shit around. Like everyone's just so different.
Yeah.
There's always something stimulating. So
Yes.
it's really a good career for someone like me or someone who has ADHD or is hyper and like you need to be busy with new things. Like you constantly need to have a new thing to do.
Totally.
You know, and I gravitated right to it, and I did it before I actually did it, which was really cool because like naturally I figured it out. So I'm like, I must be good at this because I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. And somehow I just did it, you know?
100%.
So
that's really cool. And I totally vibe with that because I feel like I have a similar personality when it comes to fitness. And I'll have friends tell me this, but like I'll do like for a few months I'll do like more like Olympic weightlifting stuff. For a few months I'll do more like CrossFit, and then I'll like train for a marathon, and then I'll do this. I'm always just bouncing. But because like there's so many cool avenues you can go with it. There's just so many, like you said, stimulating. Like this is cool, this is fun. All right, now this is cool, this is fun.
Right.
Which is no, that's a really good way to put it. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, and it's even with people. It's like you want to figure out, like if someone comes in my office and they're like, I hate working out. I don't like exercise. And I'm like, I'm going to make you like this. I'm going to find something, whether it's a TRX strap. Yeah, like we're going to do something that you like. And honestly, like, you know, not to like be like over focused on MOVNAT, but I found that people who hate exercise actually like it.
Interesting.
Yep, because it's a different thing.
Yeah.
And you're challenging. You're not. Everyone has this like idea. You go to a gym and you have to do these things in the gym. You have to sit on machines and you have to have the news on in front of you. Like you don't have to do that. And like teaching people different things with their bodies.
Right.
You know. So it's like even just finding someone coming in and telling me they hate exercise. I'm like, that's my challenge. Like I'm gonna make you like this.
Yeah. Like okay, perfect.
You know.
Let's see how we can.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a good point. I just had somebody in here the other day who's uh has some issues in the shoulder, needs to work on some stability, some strength work, just in general for everything around it, rotator cuff, accessory muscles, scapular muscles. But he told me like he's like I know I need to do something. I know everyone needs to have some sort of exercise, but I just don't like the traditional back and by day, chest and try
Yeah.
day. Like, what can I do? I'm like, well, there's plenty of options. Like,
Right.
we'll explore it. There's plenty
Yeah.
of options. And I'm sure we'll find something that you like. But I think a lot of people they get stuck on that mentality. I mean, for guys, it's kind of like, sure, like the typical like bodybuilding splits, which are cool, like for people that like it.
Yeah.
But not everybody likes to do
Right.
it that way.
It's monotonous
You
for a
know?
lot of people.
Yeah, yeah. It's really fun for some, really boring
Right.
for others. So, no, that's really cool. So when you were when you were in before prison, it was what was it called? You said there was 2 facilities you were in.
So I was in like a holding facility.
Okay.
Passaic County, New Jersey was one of them.
Yep.
And then Newark, New Jersey. So they're like, Passaic County's literally like, I'm terrible with dimensions, but it's a really small room with 14 women, like 7 bunk beds.
Wow.
You're in there 23 hours a day, 1 toilet, 1 shower, 2 TVs, 1 English, 1 Spanish, everyone fighting.
Yeah.
And like, it's a chaotic situation. Like
Sure.
it's stressful and like, you really have to like navigate properly, you know, and it's like you live in there. And then they took the contract because the living conditions were so bad. So the feds took the contract and moved us.
I remember reading that in your
Yeah.
book. Yeah. Jeez.
Yes.
So you lived in something that shouldn't have been lived in.
No.
Essentially, like, oh, we shouldn't have had anybody there.
No,
Whoops.
they had no hot water in the winter for like a
No
month.
way.
We had this like coffee spigot where we'd pour boiling water in a bucket and then mix it with cold water and like use a cup on your head to.
No way.
Yeah, it's like
Are you I know these are very much so like trending or popular now, but do you do any of the cold baths now?
so
or?
like I hate the cold,
Yeah.
but I do. I jumped in the ocean after my MOVNAT test.
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't as bad because I was warm. So I do the sauna at the gym. So I'm
Yeah.
hot. Then I go and stand in the cold shower. But like the brain telling me I have a sauna next door is way easier.
Yes. Yeah.
You
You have an
know,
out.
Yeah, I can get back in the heat. So
My-
I have Raynaud's disease though. So
Yeah,
it's I think it's not my whole body being cold that's really like stresses me out. It's like once my fingers, it's like impossible to heat them up. Like
Sure.
they get really cold and it's miserable.
Yeah.
And I want to, everyone's like, oh, you'll adapt. I'm like, yeah, it's not working yet. I don't do it enough, probably.
Sure,
truthfully.
sure.
Last winter, I did it in my tub with ice in the morning,
Oh yeah.
like a few times. And I was like, this sucks before work. Everyone's like, it's invigorating. I'm like, but I felt like my core temperature was cool. I don't feel like I ever warmed back up because it was in too short of a span and it's
Sure.
in the winter.
Sure.
So
sure.
I did it at the yoga studio, Love Offensive.
Yes.
And
Yep,
she
yep,
sat us there for 2 minutes.
Yep.
So you sat in there for 2 minutes and you breathed. But like
Yeah.
it's different if I'm like focusing to do it. You know,
100%.
It's just the whole. As long as I have a warm place right next to the cold
Yes.
place, I'm cool.
Yeah.
You know.
I think those are the 2 things that makes it better.
Yeah.
Is having somebody there with you that's doing it with you.
Yeah,
Because
that
then like
too.
you can't like back out.
That's true.
But all because I've done it same thing at my house and I'm just like. It takes me like 20 minutes longer to actually go through with it.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, all right, here we go.
Get
It's just
in.
more miserable. It's just so
Yeah.
much. And you have someone there, so much better. And then having something like a sauna or like a hot shower
Yeah.
that you know is gonna be like right there afterwards. So I was curious because one of the guys I podcasted with this guy Dave, he was a swim coach or he's a swim coach, but he was a competitive swimmer for a very long time. And I was asking him about the ice bath thing. He's like, listen. I stay as far away from the cold as possible because I spent my entire life in cold pools. He's like, I am done with the cold. It's
Right.
like, no more cold for me. I'm like, all right, that's fair enough.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I know it's good, so I try
Yeah.
it. The cold showers, I definitely do, and I'll stay in there 2, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Like
Yeah,
it's not bad because the sauna's right there.
totally.
So I'm like, I'll just get dressed in the sauna and I'm fine.
Yeah.
Because you're so hot from the sauna
Yeah,
that it takes a while to cool off.
totally.
Plus, I don't like to do it right after my workout anyway.
Yeah.
Like I'm a hot person. If you stuck me in like extreme heat,
Yeah.
I would be fine compared to the cold. Like,
You'd rather the sauna.
I'll sweat. I'll be sticky. I don't mind the humidity. Like I'm one of those weirdos, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the saunas are nice after the workout
Yeah.
too. So I guess as a follow-up question or kind of like the next step in your journey. So you went and you got your personal training
Yep.
cert. Were you living in Bristol at the time, or in the area?
So I moved in with an ex in Tiverton
Okay,
right when
cool,
I
cool.
got home.
Gotcha.
And then I got my personal training certification while I lived there.
Gotcha.
And then we split up. I moved to Fall River for a little while,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got an apartment in Bristol.
Gotcha.
So
And then is that when you connected with Bristol Total Fitness?
I was in Tiverton when I got my job with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Because they're I was just talking to somebody the other day about it. How just I think it might be just because of the name of it. I've never actually been in, but I want to go in soon.
Yeah, you gotta check it
especially
out.
to do the MOVNAT class.
yeah,
But I think just because of the name, it sounds similar to like just for me, like it sounds similar to like a Max Fitness or like a this. I'm like,
totally different.
and that's what I just picture, or like an Edge Fitness.
Yeah.
That's what I picture. And then like the pictures that you were showing me with like especially from a CrossFit
Oh yeah.
point, like the big open room, the climbing ropes
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys just got, all the
Yep.
boxes. I'm like, oh, this is a cool looking gym.
It has its own. So that the functional room is its own room.
Yeah.
It's literally the size. Like it could be its own gym.
Yeah.
And then we have everything. We
Yeah.
have spin. We have group X classes. We have free weights. We have circuit equipment. We have cardio equipment. That functional room has everything. If you are a CrossFitter, you
Yeah.
can come in and do a workout of the day, no problem.
And you have like the bump
Everything.
plates. You teach
Ski,
Olympic lifting class. Yeah.
We have the ski erg. We have
sweet.
yeah, everything.
That's
we have the
very
glute
cool.
hammy developer. We have Airdyne bikes,
That's awesome.
rowing machines, everything.
Yeah.
You could do
You
a workout.
named everything that I
you
could
do a
possibly
workout
need.
there. Yeah, absolutely. Pull up bars, everything.
That's really cool.
Yep.
So okay, so you've been training there. When did you start? It's been a while, right?
2011. It's like
Wow, yeah, 10,
13,
little over,
almost
yeah,
13 years.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. So you like it there?
Yeah, I do. I do. I do.
So you've been there for a while, and then I guess let's transition a little bit into like how did you end up starting to write the book?
So I actually wrote it. This is a crazy story. I had been out and I had an ankle monitor,
Yeah.
which really sucked.
Yeah.
But these people would come and urine test me. And even when I was like in the halfway house, like peeing in front of someone in a cup is super nerve wracking.
Sure,
And
yeah.
I pee all the time. I have the smallest bladder. My friends make fun of me. They're like, "Are you all right, dude?" Like I always have to pee. So I'm like, they're like, "Or pee now." And I'm like, my bladder could be full, and it's like it's just like
too much pressure.
yeah, you can't. So I would drink a lot of fluid when I
Yeah.
knew a urine. So they came in, and my ex. So when we were away, we like in the federal, we had vanilla extract for coffee. It was just
Okay.
like, but it wasn't. There was nothing in it because it was like imitation. But
Oh,
we all
okay.
put it in our coffee. So it was just like we talked about. You get in a routine of something.
Yeah.
It's just the way I drank my coffee with
Yeah.
vanilla extract.
Yep.
So my ex and I used to put it in the coffee grounds
Because you're used to it.
to cook because
Yeah.
I wanted it in my.
Yeah.
So he put some in my iced coffee when
Yeah.
they came for the piss test. Like he made an iced coffee and put it in.
Yeah.
They saw him do it.
Yeah.
Like I know they did because they were like hawks in my house.
Yeah.
And I drank it.
Yeah.
No harm, no foul. I piss in the cup. Thanks. Bye. Don't come back.
Right.
I'm at work one day and they're so friggin' extra too. They like bust down, like
Oh
come
my-
in, like.
Like you could have knocked.
And like my boss at the time is this Cambodian dude. He's like, "Adriana, what the fuck?" He's like screaming at me. I'm like, "Dude, I didn't know. Like, I don't even know what's going on." Then they're like, "You must have been stressed out. Maybe you had a glass of wine." I'm like, "I didn't drink. Like, I haven't been drinking. How am I stressed out? I go home,
Yeah.
I work, I exercise.
Yeah.
That's all
it.
I do.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be stressed about. I have an ankle monitor. I don't do anything. And honestly, it was kind of easy. It was an easy life. Like,
Yeah. You're like, I'm
why
kind
would
of
I
comfortable.
drink?
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, "Yeah, you drank," and I had no idea that it was the vanilla yet. I'm
Yeah.
just like, "You guys are fucked up. Like, you set me up. Like, I'm all pissed. I think I
Yeah.
got set up. Like, I
Sure,
have no
sure.
idea what's going on." So finally, my mom's friend, who's a nurse, is like, I don't know how we got into it. She's like, "What is she ingesting?"
Yeah.
And I said I had vanilla extract in the coffee, and she's like, "It's ethanol."
Yeah.
And then I had someone come and interview me.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, only an alcoholic would know there's ethanol and vanilla." I said, "Well, you must be an alcoholic," because I had no idea. And he like left because I was so upset. So anyway, I get put there in this Barnstable County, which is a dump.
Okay.
And then they take me from there to Wyatt Detention Facility in Providence. So this is after I'm already released from prison.
Yeah.
This happened. So I'm like all fucked up from this because I was trying so hard, you know.
Yeah.
And I just started writing on that. Actually, I was working out one day with a girl at
Yeah.
Wyatt, and she's like, "Ferns, you should write a book." So I just started writing every day on lockdown. They'd get locked down for a few hours, so they'd clean the whole thing. And I was writing on napkins, paper. I just started writing.
That's
like,
cool.
Like just writing like crazy. It took me years to finish.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you? So the book itself, like the published copy, were there any like sections like from literally napkins that made it into the book?
No, my cousin actually, I handed her it.
Yeah.
She was in like college for writing. She'd graduated. I'm like, here's $100. I'm taking
Yeah.
you to Newport. We're gonna go hang out in Newport,
Please help.
and can you type all this? She's like, Jesus, I'm like, and she did.
Nice.
Yeah. So
nice.
I got a referral to an editor. I was all
Yep.
pumped. So the editor's in Florida. We're going back and forth, and she's like, I don't know how to like quote exactly what she said. She basically told me, I'm a great writer who doesn't know how to write.
Sure. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what do I do? So she's a professor.
Yep.
She makes me read 2 books on writing, William Zisner's and Stephen King's. So
Stephen King.
Yeah, I read William Zisner's book on writing, and then I was like, all right, that's enough school.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
read Stephen King's story and
Yeah.
skipped his rest of it, and I rewrote my book,
Yeah.
sent it back to her, and she's like, all right, this is what it should look like.
You rewrote the entire book.
Yep.
How many pages is
It's
it?
not like it's 100 or so, like and then there's like charts and pictures and stuff.
But that must have taken forever.
It did, because I'm like I told you, I'm not academically like.
Oh, did you have to literally write like almost like every paragraph?
I just had to. Yeah, I had to just
Wow.
write. Like she wanted me to write more how I spoke, and I
Okay.
tried to sound too like smart and professional,
Sure.
like giving advice. And
Sure.
she's like, just write how you write. Basically, the gist of all that reading was to write how you talk. And I'm like, you could just tell me that.
Right, come on.
I don't have to read all these books.
Why should you make me read these books? Just tell me that.
And it was a learning experience,
Yeah.
and it was an awesome, like for me, like academically, when I couldn't understand or be good at something, I quit because
Yeah.
I didn't feel smart.
Sure.
So this was like, this is my thing. It has
Yeah.
to come out. So how am
Yeah.
I going to do this? I'd go weeks without touching it because I'd be like, fuck this. I quit. I'm so upset. I'm so dumb. Like I'd have meltdowns. And then I'd go to my therapist and she's like, pick up the pen,
Yeah.
start again, whatever. Like, and I did. I was just like, I got through it, man. Like it
That's
was
so
tough.
cool.
It was tough. And like my cousin's like, she's like, I'm literally like have a degree in writing and I've never written a book. So you should be proud of yourself. Because I
Yeah.
called her one day. I'm like, I'm sick of this.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time because it was hard.
I mean, that's so cool. I mean, it's a published book.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon.
Yeah.
Like and bookstores. Like it's a book.
Yeah, I couldn't believe
it's
it.
like-
Yeah.
And like you were telling me, I think it was at the book party was like you've already seen some traction like with like because I know part of your audience is like women in prison.
Yeah.
So you've already seen some traction with like some different women like in prisons that
Yeah.
that have found the book and like have had
Well, a friend
they've
of
liked
mine,
it.
he's a criminal defense lawyer.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you mind if I buy some copies and ship them out? And he reached out to all, like he knows all the people,
Yeah.
all these like just defense organizations, literature organizations to get people books in prisons. And he bought 6 books for each place. He's like, do you mind? I'm like, no, why would I mind? That's what I want. I don't know how to, I'm starting that now that I just did my MOVNAT. Like that's my next goal is to just really try to get these, like maybe talk at some of these prisons and get
Yeah.
these books out to women and men too. Like anyone who
Sure,
wants to read
sure.
it. But, it is more for women because there wasn't as many resources for women. And I learned
Totally.
that by being there and by looking it up
Yeah.
or just hearing like what guys were getting. I'm like, why are they getting like degrees in prison when women can barely get like anything? So I was like pissed off about that. So I'm like, how can I help? I've been here. And that's the difference of me going in and speaking to someone. Like if some fitness guru walks into a prison and they're like, "Oh, hi, I'm here to help you work out," they're gonna be like, like I don't talk to you. You don't.
Right.
You don't know what we're going
don't
through.
understand.
We don't have a gym like
Yeah.
like yours where if I go in and like here, this is what you guys need to do here. This is what I did. I
Have
get
hands-on
I get
direct
you.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legit. Like
I understand.
so it's different when someone, and I feel the same way like when I just going through all this, like when talking to therapists, like if I had a therapist who did something or went through something, it was easier for me to like really open up.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
like-
a shared experience.
Yeah,
Or something like something similar at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like I can really be a big help. And
Yeah.
a lot of people I met, and this is another thing, like I met all these incarcerated women, like they were awesome. Like
Yeah.
they're such great people. Not to say everyone was. There was some
Sure.
scary women. There's some people I'm just like, I don't
I'm
want
gonna
to
stay away from you.
we don't want
yeah.
to be friends. I don't want to talk to you. Like, but
Yeah.
there's other people. I was like, man, like they just had a hard life, or something awful happened to them, and they just got messed up from it. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of these people didn't deserve to be incarcerated, and constantly be incarcerated. They just need an outlet and they need help, you know? So
Yeah.
it was really, I was like, I can help people because I feel like I was doing it while I was there.
Right.
You know, so that's where I feel like this book is really going to be. It's just, there's no book out there. I looked on the like I did some market research. There's no book out there like that.
That's what I was about to say. That it's
Yeah.
like you probably own the market as far as
Yeah.
like fitness, health for women in prison. Like,
Yeah.
how many other books out there are?
I couldn't find
probably
any.
none.
Do you know what I read? LL Cool J's workout
Yeah,
book when I was
right,
in prison.
which is sweet.
It's
but
awesome.
Like,
Yeah,
but
but
how much does it translate to
Yeah.
where you're at? Probably
Right.
some, but probably not all.
no,
At least,
I mean,
yeah.
it was some cool exercises I got, but that was
Yeah,
it.
right.
You know, and again, it's like these people will actually maybe go, oh wow, like look at the recipes. Like I have this
Yeah.
crappy food.
Right. Oh, I have the same food.
Yeah. So
or I mean, maybe in the same prison. Even. It's like
true.
what I meant to ask this earlier, but I it, left my mind. Why? So I know when you said you initially had went to prison, you gained a bunch of weight.
Yeah.
Why do you think that happened?
Well, because like you're depressed and there's
Yeah.
nothing to look forward. There's food, and on
Yeah.
Fridays they had pizza that
Yeah.
like came in hot.
Yeah.
And when you're depressed and like a hot pizza
Pizza.
lands in front of you, it's like whoa! Like I'd eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I still can eat a whole pizza.
Yeah.
Like I love pizza. I like.
Sure.
It's why it's like a very rare occurrence. You know,
Yeah,
it's like my
yeah.
treat.
Totally.
But and I didn't eat at home. I wasn't like a sweets person, and I was eating candy there.
yeah.
And I never like candy bars. Like I wasn't into that stuff. Even
Sure.
before when I was like partying and being crazy, I just wasn't a sugar person.
yeah.
So like I think my body was just like in shock too. And the first place you didn't move at all. And I was
Yeah.
there for a year.
So you zero movement, zero exercise.
They have 1
essentially.
hour a day that they pull you out.
Mhm.
And half the time it's just in this dusty room
Yeah.
with maybe a pull-up bar. And like if you looked at all the women, the way we were all eating, no one's doing a pull-up. Like you get out of your
Here's
own
your
bed.
gym,
Yeah.
a dusty room with a pull-up
Pull-up bar.
You're like no one's doing pull-ups.
No, and there was like one rooftop gym with sun, but the men always had it. They're like, the men are up there today. Like, we're supposed to get it. And like, it was awful, dude. I would not
Ugh.
wish that on anybody.
So I remember in your book you talked about how like right when you first started working out, and did you have like a? So I have two questions. Did you have like a moment where like a switch flipped? And you're like, all right, I'm gonna make a change. I'm gonna start working out. But also to follow up with that, I remember you saying in the book when you did make that change. Remember, like some of the women were like, "What are you doing?" Like they're like
Yeah.
almost like making fun of you. Like
Yeah.
stop doing that. Like essentially.
Well, it was in the first county that I was like, I'm getting fat. Like,
Yeah.
so I started trying to exercise, which
Sure.
it wasn't getting too far because there
Yeah.
wasn't a lot to do. The second county that I went to, there was so you're in a pod. Basically, it's this giant room, and there's like a tier. So there's like rooms on the second floor. It's like a hall almost.
Okay.
And there's rooms up there, and it's just like a bar underneath up top. So like you can look over, but like the other rooms are underneath that.
Sure.
And then there's a separate room that actually had like a reverse Roman chair,
Okay.
and it was empty. There's a volleyball in there, so I started like kicking the volleyball around. The guy ended up getting me a soccer ball eventually.
Yeah.
But that room I could actually like do more in.
Yeah.
So I started I'd go in there by myself just to be left alone, or I'd jog up the stairs, lunge across, jog down.
Yep.
And yeah, women, they're all playing cards, watching TV. They're like, "Oh, what's Ferns is doing her exercise again?" And I was like, "You guys are all gonna be fat. And I'm getting out. At least I'm gonna look good." Like, and then
Right.
a couple people started working out with me.
Yeah.
Because they were like, "Oh, she's probably got a point."
Yeah.
You know, because they were like, and I was like the only white girl in the place. So like, they're like, "Oh, white girl's working out again." I'm like, "Fuck you guys, man. You're all gonna be fat." Like, you know, and that's it. Like, a couple people started, and I get some good friendships out of it too.
That's cool.
Yeah, and there, like, even though there's a lot of awesome people, it's
Yeah.
scary. There's like
Totally.
legit gang. There's like Bloods and Crips in there, and like they're
Yeah.
like, it's wild. So it's good to have some people, and I ended
Right.
up really making a lot of cool friends. Like,
Totally.
just and all different. Like one of the girls I was friends with, she's like a Blood, and the other girl's a Crip. She goes, "Why are you talking to her?" I'm like, "Cause I'm not in a gang. You're the ones.
you guys can deal with
You
that.
deal with it." And
It's
she's
not
like,
me.
"That's why I like you first.
Yeah.
You don't care." Because I'm like, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
it's not my problem that you guys have a problem.
Yeah.
And like that gets you respect. Just
Sure.
telling people, like standing your ground too. And be
Sure.
like, I'm not gonna be a part of all your nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just here to exercise. If someone wants to exercise with me, I don't care what they're doing.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Right.
you know. And
right.
it was just that's really where it started.
Sure.
And then when I got to federal and I had more resources, that's where I really started getting like in good shape.
Jeez.
You know.
Yeah. That and not to beat like this topic to death, but like it's interesting how like the first place you're in, you said holding it'd be the first.
Yeah.
And that's interesting that like that would be considered like where that was before trial, right?
Yeah,
Was
and
it
the
so?
second place was before trial too.
Oh, it was okay.
Hmm.
It's interesting that you'd almost think the opposite. Like that would have more resources, and then like federal would have less resources. But it's the opposite.
Yeah, well, because federal is a lot of like white collar crime too.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Okay.
like there's a lot of there's bigger crimes with money,
Sure.
and
Okay.
it's totally different than like the counties are just whatever county they're in.
Yep.
So they're just incarcerated. It's like prisons for profit.
Sure.
A lot of the counties are prisons for profit. So they're
Sweet.
just, you did anything twice, you're like they're like, oh, we keep this person for a year, we're making this much money. Yeah, America's really
That's-
bad with prisons for profit.
Oh, geez.
You know?
That seems wrong in
Yeah.
every way.
Totally.
All right. One other. I saw this today actually, and this could be completely unrelated, but I think it makes sense. And tell me if I'm off base. But it was a quote from Ram Dass. I forget who posted it. It might be someone at the gym here, but he said something along the lines. I might butcher it, but when you walk into the woods, like, and you look at the trees. Have you heard of this quote before?
I think so. That's why I'm listening. I'm like,
Yeah. You walk into the woods, you see the trees, like, and you just take the trees for what they are. And then every tree, like big beautiful trees, smaller trees, like trees that are like half dead, like you don't get mad at the trees for being trees. You just understand like, okay, these are trees, and these, like, this one got more sun, this one didn't have enough soil.
Yeah.
But he's like, when you approach people like that, like nobody says, people get angry, like, why are you this way? Why are you
Yeah.
that way? He's like, and Ram Dass, he's like philosopher. He's like, you need to approach people like trees more. Like don't take them at like face value. Like understand like, okay,
what they've
everybody's
been
different
through.
for a
Yeah.
reason, you know. And
Yeah.
that's okay.
It's
You don't have to get
right.
angry at them.
Right. It's so
I thought that
true.
was cool. I thought that like made sense.
Yeah.
To what you were saying. But all right, to switch topics again one more time, I want to get into soul friend yoga
Okay.
because I think that's super interesting. So
Yeah.
how did you, or I guess when did you guys get into that?
So I was doing my teacher training, and I met Patty, who's the owner, and we became friends. She started working with me. I started training her, and we clicked right away. Like
Yeah.
the day we met, yeah, we were buds. And so she started training with me, and then she was coming to me. She went to Ireland to visit like some family, and she had this like she came home and she was all inspired. She's like, I want to start this business, and so I'm like, you should do it. You should do it. So then she started it. She started doing stuff. And she asked me for like little, hey, can you help me do this, whatever? And she's like, why don't you like come on and like actually work with me and like help me with this? Like, let's get this business off the ground. Like, would you want to? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Because I kept being like, yeah, I think this is an awesome idea. It's different. And one of the things we basically wanted to do is help at-risk youth, and like we work with animals too.
Yeah.
Like different local shelters. So a lot of the proceeds we wanted to go to that. And obviously we're not making profits yet because we're still a really young business.
Sure.
Let me see. 2020 we started.
Cool. Yeah.
So and we're always working out kinks. There's always
Yeah.
things. I mean, it's so much work. And
Totally.
now we're thinking of we're gonna work with another an apothecary in Warren and have a storefront.
Cool.
That's gonna be our next trial to see how that goes.
Really cool.
So it's been a long road, but it's been awesome. It's rewarding. We've worked with Youth Pride Rhode Island. We worked
Nice.
with Beacon Charter School out in Woonsocket with the kids. Right now we're doing kitten yoga actually this Saturday
I
at Bristol Animal Rescue League. So
Super cool.
yeah, we've done puppy yoga with the Heart of Rhode Island, and that's wicked fun.
Nice.
Like animals, I mean, there's something else trying to help animals. It's a little bit different. Not that I don't like helping people, but
Help
know,
animals is cool too.
yeah, it really is. I love it, and yeah, it's been fun. Our yoga mats are 100% natural tree rubber. There's no PVC off gases. They're not. I mean, you have one.
Yeah.
You don't slip. And if you take it to
No.
love offensive, man, like
Yeah.
that class is slippery.
Seriously.
That's how I kind of tested. I was like, I'm taking this mat
If
here.
it can handle,
Yeah.
I forget it's
Tara.
Tara's class.
Yeah.
Like it's good.
Yeah,
It's a good mat.
It is like legit, and I love a lot of the local yoga studios support us. But like, that's one hot class. So if our mats can,
Yeah.
you don't need a towel in that class on the mat.
My quick side story on that, and I love the Love Offensive too. I gotta get that back there soon. I went with my buddy Jared, who actually came to me to the book event.
Okay, yep.
He was the guy I was dancing with on the floor after a couple of margaritas. But he's done like a bunch of triathlons. Like he's military vet, big time CrossFit. In other words, like very very fit. One of the
yeah.
fittest guys I know. And we both did. I think he's done like a half Ironman before, but we both did her class for the first time. Didn't know what to expect. I think it might have been one of the 90-minute ones
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
And I had to hit child's pose multiple times during that to catch my breath. And both afterwards, we were both like, I think he said something along the lines of, "I've done a lot of hard stuff, but that ranks up there with like some of the hardest things I've ever done."
Yeah.
And obviously it depends on like your own, like how hard you push yourself. It doesn't have to be that hard,
Right.
but obviously his mentality is like, I have to push as hard as possible.
And the heat.
Yeah.
If you can't stand the heat. Like,
Yeah.
I like the heat, so I love being in
Totally.
there sweating.
Same.
But some
Same.
people, if you can't handle the heat, it just makes it so much harder.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
And you're not adapted to it. You're
No.
not ready for it. I think we went in the summertime too, which probably made it even harder because
Right.
like you go from heat to heat.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like there's no break. But yeah, that's really cool. Okay, so we'll start to wrap things up. I'll be respectful of your time here. I know we've kept here all day, but let's talk about a couple last things. Anything in store for the future, whether it's that you're excited about, whether it's like your own personal like fitness, like competitions, or like business side with like the book or Soul Friend. Anything big coming up that you're excited for?
I'm definitely I kind of touched on this. I'm gonna try to do somewhat of a book tour to different
Nice.
prisons. My best friend's been really trying to help me along. She keeps messaging me. I'm like, I'm curious how. She's like, when you get back, we have to talk about this. So like that is definitely one of my main focuses. I saw a combatives class that I was mentioning to you in Canada for MOVNAT, and I definitely want to thinking that for the spring.
Cool.
That I'll hop into that. Just really continuing this winter. I want to just really get all the tweaks that I have going on in my body to like subside. You know, so that's what I'm going to be focused on. Like, I guess in the winter, the hibernation time is going to be just really recovering from some of the stuff I have going on.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a big fan of PRP and Shockwave, as you know. Like, I love getting that stuff done. So that's what I'm going to do a lot of this winter and just recover from that and hopefully come back a lot stronger. And maybe someday my level 3 MOVNAT, which is really, it's a big one. So, but, you know, that's really it. I really want to get the book moving. And as far as Soul Friend, like I said, we're going to be doing a storefront in Warren. That's our next big plan. And if anyone who's listening needs any, like, yoga classes for at-risk communities or animals, we'll be glad to help, you know, if they want to reach out.
Nice. How does that work? Like, is it a donation-based class or?
We usually make, like, our kitten yoga is $25
Sure.
A ticket. So it's a donation for the shelter.
Cool.
But that's where because we don't want to make it too expensive, but we
Yeah.
also want to make it so it's actually to
It's
make a
worth
difference.
it for the
Yeah.
for the charity.
If there's
going to
be 10 or 20 people, you know, you don't want $10 donations. It's just not.
And do you do them like at yoga studios, or do you do them like at like the
We do 'em
shelter or at the shelter?
Oh, yeah, we
That's
have
cool.
kittens. This is going to be awesome. Kittens crawling all over you. We had puppies all over us. It's awesome. And
That's
honestly,
really
you're not
cool.
really doing yoga. Because
Yeah,
a lot
you
of people are like, I don't like yoga. I'm like, just sit on the mat and play with the puppies. That's what you're there for.
Every once in a while, we'll tell you to stretch something.
Yeah, that's
but
kind of what
if
happens.
you want to, you can.
Yeah, that's literally what happens, you
That's
know?
cool. And we probably mentioned everything already, but anything else that we left out that you want to plug or shout out?
No, I think trying to think if there's any other. I think that's it.
Cool.
Yeah.
And
You
then-
obviously.
Yay,
My
appreciate
PT.
it. I appreciate it. Yeah, we did some dry needling earlier.
Yeah, I definitely keep you on your toes. I feel like every
Yes.
time I'm like, Dr. Matt, I broke something again.
Yeah. Like, all right, what
Yeah.
happened this time? This most recent one was the all-terrain vehicle,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, and curious. Yeah, that of all things.
Yep. And then last question we'll leave you with is favorite quote or mantra. And the way I describe this is, I stole this from Tim Ferriss, but I really like this description, is you're driving up Route 95 North. Right after the big blue bug, you get the billboard that Rob Levine has. And I've shouted him out on every single podcast. So eventually I'm sure he'll hear of it or reach out to me at some point. But so you get that billboard for the day. And you can put whatever you want on the billboard, message to Rhode Island, or just a general quote that you like.
There's one of them. I have a couple different
Okay,
quotes.
okay.
One of them I'm always like, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. But I feel like
Yeah.
that's a common quote.
I like it though.
Brakes of a car is not people. That's the one, you
Yep.
know. And this is the most recent I've been telling people who are like, they can't, they're not motivated, they can't get out of their own way. I'm like, or they don't like something. I'm like, I don't like paying taxes, but I still have to do it. You know what I mean? Like, it
That's a
doesn't
good
matter
quick
if you like
one-liner,
it.
yeah.
I don't like paying taxes. I still have to do it.
That's awesome.
There's no like, you don't have the option to like something when it comes to trying to be healthy.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, just do it. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know. No one
it
like,
doesn't matter.
do you have any emotion behind like flossing and brushing every night?
Right.
Like, I'm not like, oh, I'm so unmotivated. Like, just do it. There's no, I just, makes me insane
Yeah.
when people
Yeah.
say that,
He's like, I don't care if you like it or not,
Yeah,
you
the
gotta do
taxes, you gotta pay them. Like,
Right.
it doesn't matter.
It's
So
important.
yeah, I guess those
I
would
like
be,
that.
yeah,
it. Cool. Awesome. Well, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for coming on. This was
Yeah.
a great time.
for sure.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Thanks, Dr. Matt.
All right. Roadie Strength signing off.